All right, so welcome to the Active Broker Podcast. My name is Ryan Sebeck, and today we're going to be talking here with Ben Love. Interesting story here. Ben has been with Revol now for a couple years, and met Ben, actually came into the office, one of our preferred lenders, and it was, I saw this guy leaving. He had this interesting hat on, and I'm like, first thought is like, who is this goober in here with this hat on? And learned a little bit more about Ben. He came in and talked a little bit more with the team, ended up joining the team. It's been a great addition. And, one of the interesting things is that, you first meet Ben, he always has these hats on. So Ben, you got to tell us a little bit about, these hats and what's the style that you bring, because, it works for you.
Right. So, you got to be weird to win, right? We know that. I think that I was in probably the second semester of my MBA, and I'm taking this branding marketing class all about what great brands do. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to get into real estate full time, I need to create my own brand. So I started thinking about ideas. I was like, maybe I'll just wear the same suit every day, kind of give myself a uniform. I'm like, nah, that's not my style. I'm like watching some television. I think I saw I forget who it was, maybe Pharrell Williams or something, rocking this crazy hat. And I'm like, I could never pull that off.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second, maybe it is hats. I wear hats all the time, but I can't pull off Pharrell's hat. But I could probably rock like a cool fedora or something like that. So I got into it. My wife was very supportive. I say was because now I have like 42 different hats. We have a whole room just filled with hats. She's not the biggest fan anymore, I would say.
Yeah.
But for me, it's creating that brand. It's telling people, hey, I'm not this robotic guy. I'm a little bit different. Got to be weird to win. I'm going to work hard for you. And a lot of my clients trust me, just like my wife. They bust my balls. They make fun of me. But you also have those clients that are like, I wonder what hat he's going to wear. Or I've gotten a referral before. It's like, you know what? He's going to have a hat on. I forget his cell phone number. I'm going to have him call you.
Oh, wow.
So
and it's your unique selling, proposition. Like, it's unique. When we first met, it's like, hey, what is the hat? So you had to hear the story behind it. So like anytime you meet somebody new, most people are naturally just kind of nervous. So they're like, when they meet you, and it's like a nice icebreaker to, who Ben is. We were just down in Nashville, and it was great. We went to a hat making place. So it was like make cowboy hats. And you start out, and it's like, most people think cowboy hats is the brim and it goes all up and everything like that, like the big hat. But it also had a lot of styles similar to what you're wearing. That's a style I made. And it's like you make this hat and you put it on, you're like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. Like I can see myself rocking something that's, makes a difference, especially when you're getting older and your hair's thinning. So, cover it up a little bit. So
no, it's crazy. Like Cam Newton has a hat guy that he pretty much exclusively took off the market because he's like, look, I want you to make hats only for me.
Oh, that's awesome. I think Shaq's big into. I saw I was online as well. And I saw Shaq going into the store, and like he's big on those hats too. So like the hat trend is definitely
it's coming back hard. Yeah. Don't say that I invented it or the Love team invented it, but I'm rocking it hard. I'll be doing it forever when they're back out of style.
All right, so when we start seeing realtors out there trying to duplicate it, Ben started it.
Exactly.
So on this podcast right now, Ben started the hat trend.
For sure. It is funny though, because some of my clients, they're just like, oh, maybe Ben's just kind of weird. Style's a little bit weird. There have been multiple times that I get to the settlement table and then they finally ask, like, all right, so what's up with the hats?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you waited this long?
This way to talk about like all this time, you're finally asking about my hat.
40 houses and you didn't ask.
Yeah. So we're getting into real estate side. We've been, in a roller coaster industry over the last 2 years. When you first came in with us, you just rocked out. We were in a great market. I would say great market, balanced market. You could go out there with a client, you could show them 4 or 5 houses, make an offer, maybe one, maybe another offer in there, maybe not. Over the last couple of years, how did the Ben Love team, how did you survive? What's the ingredient when you're out there and there's, you have a team below you, it's tougher to get contracts. It's easier on the sell side, tougher on the buy side. A lot of your guys are working buys. Like, what are you teaching them? How are you getting it done?
First and foremost, we have one rule, and it is the client comes first. And everyone can say that, but you just look at real estate over the years, it's clear that not everyone does that.
Yeah.
For us, it's hard when you're not making money, you're not selling houses. It is hard to put the client first every step of the way. But I tell my team, I'm like, look, guys, if you do that, I guarantee you it's going to pay off tenfold, because then you're going to get their friends, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles to say, hey, only use this guy. You know what I mean? Only use this team. And when you're broke, you're concentrating on money. But the buyer, the seller, whoever it is, the client can feel that. They can feel your energy, like, oh, this person just wants a sale. You know what I mean? So if we actually look out, and I tell my guys, hey, you don't have to be worried about a deal falling through. You do everything right. You protect your clients. They're going to buy another house. They're going to get under contract again with you. So let it come into it. But like you said, it is crazy, because I think our average in 2019 was 7 showings for a buyer. Now, I mean, last year, this year, it's probably 22.
Yeah, and you think about the client's mindset through all that. I mean, you think about, put yourself in their shoes. Like, literally, you fall in love with a house. You make an offer, declined. You make another offer, gets rejected because somebody went $50,000 over cash and closed in 2 weeks, and they're doing their laundry for the next year or something. You know, like these crazy offers that have come in, they are getting accepted, and your clients, and you really love a house, and then you think about the emotional roller coaster that a lot of these clients are going through in today's market. And that being said, I think we have a good shift going on in the market. I mean, rates are peaking and are going to start folding back over the next 6 to 12 months, which then, again, any market improvements, whether it's more inventory, it's more, interest rates reduction, we've always, had positive reaction to the market. So I think a lot of real estate agents have to look at is where you are now. And like you say, you work really hard with the relationships and getting the referrals, that now is the time to work that. If you're working the referrals, you're working the client, you're going to find that in the next 6 to 12 months, your business is going to grow. I think a lot of the realtors that are out there that are struggling right now, that aren't focusing on the fundamentals, and you're really your fundamentals are great. I mean, you do a lot through social media, you do a lot with your Tuesday 2 cents, like there's a lot of things that you're putting in place to stay in front of your client. And that's going to be the difference maker. Going into real estate of the future. I mean, when I started in real estate, I can tell you right now, some of the people I started in real estate were 30, 40 years older. It's hard to adjust to technology. So the younger realtor.
Oh, yeah. You started when you had no electronic signature programs, like no maps.
The MLS wasn't even online. And the Zillow wasn't around, put it that way.
People were still going to the grocery store to get the Homes magazine.
Yeah, absolutely. We did this thing on Tuesdays, Tuesday Tour Day. Instead of Tuesdays 2 cents, it was Tuesday Tour Day. And basically, you would meet as an office. You would talk about contracts and compliance stuff. You would talk to the top producers, got the top floor duty. So basically, floor duty was the way you got leads. So like people fought to sit at the front of the office in the secretary chair to answer the phones.
Just get walk-ins and call-ins.
That was great from a broker perspective. I don't have to hire a secretary. I'm just going to hire my
wild.
agents to sit up there and tell them to field the best phone calls. Because remember, if you didn't have it online, if somebody drove by a real estate sign and they called off the real estate sign, they're calling the real estate office. So whoever was working the floor duty would pick up that buyer.
Right.
They have no access to the information. It's not like they could pull it up on their phone or anything. The MLS wasn't online. They would call in. So top floor duty got you the best prospects. So you did that every Tuesday morning, and then you would drive around so you could see the new listings. So when you're on floor duty, you can actually have like insight to the listing and go show it and try to sell the property. So the dynamic over the last 20 years to now being more internet-based is like drastically different. And people doing what you're doing is saying, being on social media, doing videos, staying in touch with your consumer, staying in front of your consumer is the only way you're going to win as a realtor.
Right. Now, what I think most is like of the maps. Like, because when I was just becoming like interested in driving, 14, it's still on the horizon. I'm not driving yet, but we still had to print out MapQuest.
Yeah.
And it's like line by line direction.
Yeah.
And if you missed the turn, you were like, holy crap, how do we get back to this?
How do we get back? Yeah.
We're on number 9. How do we get back to number 9? Yeah. But like, I remember talking to my dad about it, like in the age of no cell phones, even take it back a little further.
Yeah.
If he was going to be 10 minutes late because of traffic or something, he had to choose whether he wanted to be just 10 minutes late or he wanted to pull over to find a payphone and be 30 minutes late.
Exactly.
And that's crazy because, like, I hate being late, but the reality is sometimes it happens with the accidents as much as we drive or showings go over.
Yeah.
Because you can't get in. You know, we've always had those agents that stay like 15 minutes longer than their time slot.
Well, that was the tough part because we had these, and you talk about MapQuest, we had these, they're ADC maps. And basically, you would pull up inside of the MLS, it would tell you what coordinates to go to which page on that map. So you know where the property is. And that's why real estate was very like localized in your community, since you knew where properties were and you could get around to them and in property tour days. But you think about the evolution of technology. Now you can sell real estate anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can go down into Silver Spring and I go there 3 times a year, but I can show a house there tomorrow because I can get there. I know all the data from there because it's all in the MLS.
Yeah, and you can run very thorough comps because you have it all.
Exactly. And that's why, I mean, that's why learning the MLS is so important. I mean, learning, it's not just learning about like reading a house before you go out and take a look at it, but when you're with a client, it's like talking about what's going on in the area, what's going on in the market, you know, what's going on in this zip code, you know, how fast are homes selling, what is the average price point, is the house going to grow in value, you know? And I think, you know, one of the things that you're really good at is when you show a house, you're not just trying to sell a house.
No.
You know, you're helping evaluate that home, you know, from a buyer's perspective, like things you would want to know. I mean, most realtors out there, like, I just want to get an offer on this house, get under contract. I see that the roof might be a problem, but I'm not going to mention anything. I'll go under contract, let the inspector talk about it.
Oh, Mrs. James, you love that paint color. Let's put an offer in.
Let's put an offer in. Exactly. That's the perfect color house. Don't look at anything else. Let's just put the offer in. And I think that's a struggle because I think it's easier to get under contract than get out of contract. You know, when you need to get out of a contract, it's not an easy situation. You know, there's cost involved and, you know, part of your success as a team lead and a great real estate agent and top agent in the market is that when you're out there with the consumer, you're doing you are telling the consumer what they want to hear so that they can make a viable decision on that house. And then your transactions are going to go to closing. You know, hey, you know that the roof is going to be a problem, or there's moisture in the basement,
Exactly.
or, you know, there's things that you point out in the offer and you reflect your offer off of those. But setting expectations is so important, and in today's world, and that's what you know, every realtor has to look at, is that these houses, these transactions are milestones for people, and you're part of that.
Right. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll get an agent or a client that has previously worked with another agent, and they're just like flabbergasted, like jaws on the floor, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing all this? You're getting into the attic?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if it was not a pull down, I wouldn't get in. I don't bring my ladder, but if it's a pull down, I'm into every single attic.
Yeah.
That's the way I can diagnose a roof.
How about your golf ball?
You got to bring a golf ball to make sure if it's not level floors.
Yeah.
And they're just like, what? Our last realtor never did this.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they wouldn't even walk around the house with us.
I think you got caught. I think Claire caught you with a golf ball in your hand, and you made up some story about like
no,
leveling
it's for
house.
the level.
It's for leveling the house, hon. You know, I'm not going golfing again today.
Don't worry, honey. I didn't play 18 holes again. No. Yeah, I bring that. I bring a laser tape, a big flashlight, and then obviously my tablet so I can show them, pull anything up on the MLS or show them pictures of what it used to look like before the flip.
Yeah.
It's just, I think I put myself into like, how can you be great customer service, right? Put yourself as the customer.
Yeah.
What would you want to know?
Correct.
What didn't I know going in to buy my first house?
Yeah.
You know, so then you do all that. And I think it's always an evolving process. We could be better. I want better systems that's like, because during the transaction, you have your home inspection. Everything's good on the real estate side. We have all of our inspections good to go. Now it's basically just waiting for the loan to close. I need to do a better job of just communicating more instead of once or twice a week. Like, hey, don't worry, we're still good to go.
Yeah.
Not quite time to switch your utilities yet, but we're getting there. Just keeping everyone.
It's the rapport. I mean, like, you think about, longevity. I mean, if you're a real estate agent and you're looking to do this as a career, you're not just looking at the next transaction or the last transaction. You have to look into is that if you impact a family, I mean, you set them up with a house that they're going to have their first child in, or they're going to retire and grow old in, like that's a big milestone that you did. And if you do a really good job at that milestone, they're going to want to share that experience with their friends and family, which then turns into growing, your referral business. Exactly. Anybody can buy business.
Right.
I mean, you can go out there and you can pay Realtor.com and Zillow and you can buy business, but the real business is built when you impact the consumer and then they refer that business over to you. And, a lot of people get started in this business and they struggle because they don't know how to impact people, or they don't have a lot of impacts in their life.
Right.
Or you're a transactional realtor that you're only worried about the commission that you earned, but not the relationship that you built. And I think that's one of the key areas that a lot of real estate agents struggle to get to where they want in business because they're shy, or they don't break through that barrier of the relationship. And some of the things,
it's the cheapest, but it costs the most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it involves so much time, not just time that you put into your clients, but time waiting for it to come into fruition.
Yeah.
So like that's why I think a lot of people pass it over. You even said in the beginning of your career, you passed it over.
Yeah, it was definitely one of my weaker parts. Is I was always hustle, make a lot of phone calls every day, get in front of new people. But then you realize, like, you just closed 50 transactions last year, and you didn't do anything to stay in front of your consumer.
Right, and you're still just being as good as you are with in person. You know what I mean? In person customer service, you're still getting probably 5 referrals from those 50. But if you worked it like you do now,
yeah, there's always
you're making less phone calls.
There's 2 parts of a transaction I always feel like they're like that I live for in a real estate. I love the first appointment.
Right.
I love just like when you meet up with, you sit at somebody's table for a listing appointment, or you show up at the first house you're showing, and it's just like, that's like your time to shine. That's time for you to go out there and be like that. You're selling yourself.
Yeah.
And then delivering the news, like you went under contract, or we received an offer on your listing, and it's something that's going to work out. Having that conversation. When you hit those milestones, those are great times to be talking about like the referral. Like,
yeah. And no one does that because they're like, wait a second, the settlement table should be the first opportunity.
Yeah.
That I'm doing it.
Yeah, they wait till it's too long. When you think about like somebody just gets their first home under contract, that's the exciting part. Like they can't wait to tell everybody.
They're
like,
telling everyone.
And everybody starts, and then the reaction to a lot of people are like, oh, we're also going to start looking for a home. But when your friends and if they don't know to get you that referral, they're never going to ask for it.
Right.
So people like kind of mess that stage up of the buying process all the time, because all they're worried about, hey, I just got something under contract, I'm earning a commission. And I find a lot of realtors get lazy once they're under contract. That's when you really step up. That's when you become your realtor. That's when your job becomes twice as hard. The home inspections, like making sure that they're getting with the best lender, making sure their title's taken care of. You just talked about utilities shifted over. Like I think most people, they get up to the contract, and that's the toughest part, is negotiating, getting the contract accepted, and then their effort level goes down until they get their commission check.
Put it on cruise control. That's not how we are. I mean, I had a real estate agent that told me their inspector doesn't get into the attic.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't get into crawl spaces. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing for your clients? You're using that inspector? That's your regular guy? Yeah. Well, he's always done within 2 hours, no matter the size of the house. Mm-hmm. And he also does a really good job of lowering buyers' expectations. I'm like, what the are you serious right now? Like, and that's why you like him? Those are like 2 reasons why I wouldn't use that guy. But it just all comes down to like customer service, I think. And people are starting to sniff that out. So like that is one thing. When I talk to people about the market now that have been doing it for 20, 30 years, they're like, your guess is as good as mine right now. We've never seen this. I've been through the 08, 09. It's not the same. It's a little different. I can tell you that it's ebbs and flows like any market. It will be back,
Yeah.
you know, in terms of inventory. It will be back to normalized, but there's going to be a mass exodus from real estate because the people that aren't treating their clients well are not going to be able to survive.
Oh, I know. I mean, you look at it. I mean, Maryland alone. I mean, I think somebody at the last brokers meeting was like 49,000 licensed real estate agents. Now, how many of them actually do business? A very small percentage is like working this as a daily job, but it's a lot of licensed agents. And
only one hat guy.
Yeah, only one hat guy. and the scary part is that, you know, it's one of our agents always said, like, it's like if you were going to get surgery, you know, do you want to go to the doctor that does that surgery once a year or somebody that does that every single day? And when you talk about the industry changing over the next couple of years, it definitely, as things get harder, people weed away from that. You know what I mean? Like if it's like, if I'm going to do a diet and the diet gets really difficult, a lot of people break and they get off the diet, you know? Right. And like right now with real estate going down that road where it's going to be more difficult, people aren't going to break through that barrier. The good realtors are.
Oh yeah. Well, I think as a whole, our industry is pretty lazy. Yeah. For the most part, you know, and I think the clients too feel like, hey, you guys are making a lot of money and not working very hard. But what they don't see is how much like top producing agents do.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You and I go home. We both have a family. We do the family stuff. And then we get back on our computer. Yeah. And we're working until we fall asleep. Doing something, whether it's system side, putting in a blog, you know what I mean?
It's always
stuff there's always something to do.
Yeah.
And like what I tell my team is, look, guys, we're going into a different market. You're going to have to work harder. Do not ever take that as you need to get more sales. Keep doing everything that you're doing with your clients. Just understand that if you were making what you wanted to make last year and only working 30 hours a week, to make that this year, you're going to be talking 45, 50 hours a week.
You're going to be working.
Just work harder. Yeah.
I mean, that was one of my golden rules back when I met with a buyer. I would tell them, you went through thousands of homes online and you picked 4 to look at today. And we're lucky if we have 4 to look at today.
Right.
Like today's market, you probably have 1 or maybe 2 houses to look at. I used to always tell them, like, if you narrowed hundreds of houses down into these 4 or 5 homes, it's not uncommon that one of the homes we look at today could be your next home. And it changes the mindset of the consumer, and instantly they go through a home and like they're not questioning the fact that they could be making an offer today on a house. So when we talk about every market has like kind of like a niche to it, and helping create the market around that. Like the client needs to understand the market.
Right.
And if you can help them better understand the market and everything that they're going to go through the process. It was like the end of, I always like the end of that movie 8 Mile when Eminem gets up at the end. He's like,
oh, dude, I watched that part, just the last 3 rap battles all the time. Just for motivating like that, the speech from Miracle, the speech from Coach Carter. Like,
yeah, I mean, you look at that scene and he's like basically says everything bad about himself that guy could say, the other rapper could say. And basically it's the same thing in real estate. If you lay the groundwork down,
yeah,
you let it down in the first appointment, you let them know everything that they need to know. There's nothing else that, you know, what other obstacles are going to come in? I mean, obviously there's a lot of twists and turns in real estate, but if you lay enough down on the table, it's just going to make the transactions that much smoother for you.
Right. So what we try to do is just create trust on the first one. You know, our first meeting is like, I want to inform you, educate you the whole way. You're never going to get any pushiness from me.
Sure.
That being said, you're never going to find a 10 out of 10. Short of buying land, designing it with an architect, you're not going to find a 10 out of 10. But when you're getting to 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, that's when you should be writing an offer. Yeah. Assuming all of the main systems that I'm going to check out today are actually in good condition. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what I say. Like, you know, we used to do pre-home inspections for listings. And, you know, like the client, I would always tell the client, I'm like, look, you're going to have a pre-inspection. This inspector is going to find things wrong. You're probably going to fix those, you know. But the next inspector is going to come in. You know what he's going to find? He's going to find issues. He's hired to come into your house to find it. If he doesn't find anything, he didn't do his job. So you just have to, like, by letting people know, like, the process, not just going through the process with them. Let them know the process. Let them know 2 or 3 steps ahead. And going back to, like, the 8 Mile situation, it's that if you let them know everything, you're going to win.
Yeah.
There's
a solution to everything.
Absolutely. And if you communicate well, and I think that's probably where a lot of real estate agents get themselves in trouble, is that they're poor communication. And that's 2-part. Poor at communicating and poor at communication, meaning like they're just, a problem arises and they don't communicate the problem, or they communicate it in the wrong way. You know what I mean? And like everything's about winning against the other realtor, winning the transaction, where it is, hey, all parties are just, even though we're on separate teams, if you and I were in a transaction together, you were the buy agent, I'm the list agent, our job is to all work together to get to the common goal of getting to the closing table. So every party needs to realize there's wins and losses, but they're not wins and losses.
Right.
It's working together to get everybody to get to that closing table, where I feel like when I was early in my career, things went awry. Like it was like almost you're trying to win that argument, or you're trying to win that negotiation. And, it isn't trying to win a negotiation. It's winning the value, making sure that, the seller is seeing value in your offer.
Oh, yeah. And you can see that too in the market. I'm not even going to put it as like these people have been doing it 20 years, but people that are doing a high number of transactions, I don't care if they've been doing it for 3 years or for 20, you can tell that when you go through a process with them, it's always much easier. The worst is like a brand new freshie that thinks that like they need to, like you said, win every argument, or the 20-year-old vet that does one house every 2 years and is like, I've been in this business for 20 years. And I'm like, well, you forgot to initial here. All I'm trying to do is get you to initial this thing. So
I love your line too when somebody, because it's one of those things that annoyed me in business too. It's like I have a few trigger points, and one of them is when you have a realtor on there and they tell you how long they've been in. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Right. And right then I always look up their stats.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, well, last month I sold more than you did in the last 2 years. Like, no offense, but I just think that in this ever-changing market, I may know a little bit more. And I'm just asking for this initial.
Yeah. That's what I say. Like the number one way to say I don't produce in business is tell them how long you've been in the business.
Exactly.
So it's and that's when I don't know why it's a pet peeve to me, just because I think it has nothing to do with the conversation when they say that. Your classic line.
I have a goldfish.
Yeah, your goldfish.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we were talking about stuff that didn't matter to each other.
Exactly, and that's but they don't get it. I mean, even if you mention that to them, it just goes over their head.
Oh yeah.
So
because they're so worried about winning the argument. Instead, it's like, listen, Cheryl, you could have signed this already.
Yeah.
Like by the time you're gonna argue with me, you could have already got the initial.
Like, we need that to whom agent understands. I'm like, you don't understand. It has nothing to do with this contract. We do not need that in there.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's what the thing is. Like when you look at the market that we're in, the people that we deal with, communication is really key. I mean, become a great communicator. Whether it's good communication, meaning good news or bad news, the better you communicate any news, and it's the speed that you deliver it. I mean, I feel like, I used to be like, I want to find that solution. Like if I'm delivering bad news, I need to know the path. But like the more seasoned you are in real estate, the better you are at communicating and finding that path.
Oh, when I first started out, I would get like something back, like an inspection report or a low appraisal, and I would be freaking out and I would be panicking, and I would literally like have to watch the 8 Mile or just to fire me up enough to make this phone call that I know is just going to go terribly in my head. I'm telling myself, I'm literally building it up to make it go terrible because our brain is so powerful. Like I'm going through the worst scenarios, everything. Now I'm just like, hey, look, this is what's going on. I called you as soon as I found out, and here's what I'm going to do about it. And then they're just like, wow, thanks for telling me. That sucks, but thanks for telling me. Yeah. Let me know if you get any updates.
Exactly.
Instead of like, Just so you know, the appraisal came in low. No, I haven't talked to the appraiser yet because I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just deliver the news. It's not your fault.
I developed a bad habit coming from the mortgage side because when we delivered a problem, it was like, all right, well, there's this issue because the credit score dropped 10 points. And now you're trying to figure out, well, how can I get their credit score back up 10 points or whatever it may be. But translating that into real estate, it's like real estate's one of those things. You just got to tackle problems. You got to tackle issues. As quick as you want to pick the phone up and tell somebody that they got under contract is how quick you need to pick the phone up when there's an issue that arises. Even with the other agent too. I always have a conversation early on in the transaction. Say, look, I want this. And like everybody was like, congratulations, on your contract being, I'm looking forward to a smooth transaction. So people say that in their email or a phone call. And I'm like, well, let's really act on that. You know what I mean? Like if we were looking for a smooth transaction, let's sign a little pact right now. If something goes bad or good, we just communicate that. Yeah. You don't get upset. I don't get upset. We just try to find solutions for it. You agree on that? And like, that's the way. I think
every transaction, and I've tried this so many times, and probably 1 out of 50, once a year, it works. And it's like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
But I think that every single transaction should be in the same thread of the email with the title, the lender, the realtor on that side, on every single transaction.
Yeah.
Then you just have the entire thread going all the way through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if it comes down to it, when your clients are like, well, I just didn't feel like you worked hard enough for me. Well, here's 120 emails.
Yeah, that went back and forth.
There's are paragraphs that I spent writing defending you here. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's tough. Like, I mean, you look at once from like a buy side, once you're under contract, even on the listing side too, it's like once you get through the inspections and everything, there's like that. We feel like it's a dead zone. I mean, they're in underwriting.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Like waiting for the appraiser to come back. It's like you go days and days and days without communication. You got to feel those communication's important. You need to like be filling up and saying, look, hey, you're moving in 2 weeks. Hey, have you talked to any moving companies? You know
What's
that
your plan,
it's your plan. You get the contractors through your house to fix those items. Like you need to stay in touch with your clients. You're not done. You're not getting your commission check and you're not getting referrals unless you're filling those gaps with communication, things that you can do to help them along their transaction. So
don't open any credit cards.
Yeah, don't open any credit cards. Don't buy. I had a client actually one time. It was hilarious. I knew their financing he was self-employed. He owned a bunch of local businesses. I'm not going to mention the name, but like I told him, I was like, look, you can't take any credit out. Like this is a sticky transaction. And it was like the day before closing because they always, the lender does like their final check. And he sends me a picture of his wife in front of a car with a big old ribbon. He goes, look what I just bought. And I'm like, you are joking, right? I'm like, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, next thing he was just kidding. We were at the car dealership. We just wanted to mess with you.
That's
and I was like, it's just like you work so hard, but
the reason they're messing with finance furniture after like having that speech, they financed like $6,000 worth of furniture. Yeah. And I'm like, you guys were so like on thin ice already.
Yeah.
Luckily they were able to put their granddad on it like last second.
Yeah.
To co-sign so that
that's a communication side. Like the better you communicate.
Remember how I said they were like, I didn't think it was like furniture too.
Yeah.
I'm like, any credit.
Yeah. So shifting gears here. So you got a new baby. So you got
2 kids at the house.
2 kids at the house. I mean, life is back to, what is it? What would you say? It's organized chaos or just chaos?
It's organized chaos.
Yeah.
Definitely thanks to my wife.
Yeah.
Actually, Claire's chaos is organized. Mine typically is chaos. And I'm mostly on Murphy duty, so I like distract Murphy, play with her, and she's 2 and she's funny. And I do not know who taught her the word why, but someone taught her why. And anytime I say, let's go do this, why? It's like, damn, you do want to know things, and I get it, but just come on, one time, just come over here because I said so.
I'm glad realtors don't have that same thing. They come in here like, hey, this is why you got to make calls. Why?
Oh yeah, dude, that would.
Why are you taking
be like,
why?
I get this at home too, and I come here.
I have to go on that. Can you take an appointment tomorrow?
Why? Yeah. Oh gosh, that would be hilarious. I would be like, never mind. I'll
Yeah.
take the money. But it's been great. She makes it easy on me. She's awesome. Puts a routine. Jonah's sleeping like 10 hours, so I can't even complain
Oh, that's awesome.
on that aspect.
It's a tough juggle. I mean, like that's what gets people through, and I think what most realtors, it's just you have that drive. You know what I mean? You get
so
up every.
motivating, yeah.
You're like you look at a new child. You know, you got 2 kids now. Their future depends on you. You know, so it's like they can't feed themselves. They can't do anything on their own, and you got to manage your time, just keeping your business because, you know, like there's a couple gaps in our markets here in Maryland that we're going through one right now in August. I mean, I feel like a lot of real estate agents take their eye off of the goal and they should be doubling down right now. And you're in that period where you're doubling down. You got 2 kids and I
agree. I mean, like I just got out of the taking my eye off the prize kind of because we just had a kid. So like I stayed home the first 2 weeks and my business was more reactive than proactive.
Sure.
But that was the plan. Like I worked hard before Jonah was here so that I could have those 2 weeks with my wife and Murphy and Jonah. But
I still remember the month, your crazy month. When
that was insane. I was talking about that the other day. How did that happen?
I mean, you closed 15 transactions, had a baby, and nearly cut your finger off mowing the grass. I mean, like
that was a month to remember, and it was my 30th birthday month too.
I mean, it was just all in once. But the thing that, besides, you know, cutting your finger, the credit I give you is, and you did the same thing with Jonah, is that you knew you were having a kid at a certain period and you buckled down. You said, you know what? I want to be able to spend some time with my kids. That's what, like, one of the great things about real estate and the flexibility of real estate is that you can work as hard as you want and you can be awarded and you can award yourself and you can take time off. You can do anything you want as a realtor. You're an independent contractor. Your life is in your own hands.
That's what I love about it. You can only blame one person if you're not getting what you want.
But those 2 periods in your life, you buckled down. You were like, you know what? I'm getting ready to have my first child and I'm going to crush it. And you did. And you're getting ready to have your second child and you went out there and you crushed it again and had a great, you know, quarter leading up to it. So, you know, what is it? I mean, what of it that motivates you the most? I mean, in real estate, you get up every single day and, you know, you see your family, you're leaving the house, you come to the office, you're pretty regular at the office and you got a team now, you know, that you're supporting. It's, you know, what's your drive? You know, where do you want real estate to go in your life?
I mean, I see it as taking me to early retirement, taking me to a place that I can almost always say yes to my kids, give them lives. And I had a great life. So,
absolutely.
Like if they had a life as great as me, I would consider that a success. It's just the motivation factor. And going back to like, that's why I love this business is like you make $0 this month, you take a look in the mirror and there's only one reason. It's your fault. Yeah. And that's the same thing with parenting. And you don't really realize that, but you're like, it's a joint effort for parenting, but you're like, if these kids end up sucking or being horrible or rude or it's our fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we have this job. So I think it's motivating. It's super cool, like in different stages. Like you see a baby that can't talk, right? And you're like, I would kill for this kid.
Yeah.
It's like, I will go make the extra 5 phone calls. I will make the extra 3 showings. You know what I mean? I'm going to push it as far as I can so that they can have the best life. And then Murphy, like, is a little bit older now. She's like, you going to work, Dad? Yeah. Have a great day. I'm going to work too. And she'll like get in her little toy car and like drive away as I'm leaving the house. Actually, the last 3 days, she's like, working, golfing.
Working, golfing.
Working or golfing.
Like always working. Always working.
Work,
don't have time
honey.
to golf. Yeah.
Either way, golf is work.
No time for golf anymore. I think you look at that kind of what you're going through at home life and transitioning into work. So you get a new realtor under you. It's almost like having a child. You know what I mean? It's like they don't know. Your child has no clue what's going on in the world. and a new realtor has no clue how to build a business, and that's
and they pick up on everything, both of them.
Yes,
like
they do pick up
new
on
realtors and new kids, they pick up on everything. So like, and I have a potty mouth.
Yeah.
Like I cuss like a sailor. So like I don't have to watch it as much in the office, but I watch it when I'm bringing them on like tag along showings. I'm not dropping any F-bombs in front of my clients, but like creating bad habits in front of your client or your team. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, you just went to happy hour 3 times this week. Well, it's not a normal week. These are, you know what I mean? This is like, set these expectations.
Or, your team lead, you're golfing 3 days a week.
Exactly.
Like when you take that commitment in a leadership role, whether you're a parent or you're in real estate, everything's being looked at. Everything.
They see everything.
Yeah, and it's
They're
that
so smart.
It's the monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And that's why in real estate I think it's so important. You having a team and juggling the even though they kind of align. You know what I mean? Your energy at home is for your kids, and your energy in the office is for your team, and you just stay juiced.
Yeah. It's hilarious. Murphy now will pick up her fake, like the plastic toy cell phone, and put her finger up. 1 second.
Yeah.
Like she'll walk away, like quiet down. I'm on the phone, and it's hilarious. And I don't even realize that when a client calls me, I snap and put my finger up, like, shh, Daddy's on the phone. Daddy's working.
We had Ami came in the other day, and the kids were she's always on the phone when she comes in. And the kids were like, mortgage rates are blah, blah, blah. Mortgage rates are blah, blah, blah. And I was like, because it's all she hears about mortgage rates. And I'm dying. I'm belly laughing because it's so funny because you hear that. I mean, I grew up in a business family. My dad was in insurance. And it's like, I mean, I could tell you, buy a term and invest the difference. And I'm like, it's all we did. And I remember going to high school. One of my close friends, my dad used to be on the radio. And he was a mortgage broker. He goes, We're not bankers, we're brokers, and we broke the bank. Every day I walked into school, my kids went, "We're not bankers, we're brokers, and we broke the bank." But like you send those jingles, those are memorable, and going off topic a little bit. I mean, like when you're growing a team and you're growing a family, it's your passion in real estate is what gets you through it. And I knew I was going to ask you this one question because I know you're big on like the energy drinks. I'm like, and I'm way overdue for getting the nitrogen filled here at the
It's not so much the energy drinks. That coffee that we have is like a cold brew, nitro cold brew, and it just like is like I joke around calling it crack in a cup. It literally just juices you up. Like I can't drink it after 11:30. It's like a hard stop for me because then I'll be up till 2 a.m.
Oh yeah,
which is never like normal coffee. I'm not a normal coffee drinker because it doesn't give me that juice, like that energy, like this does.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I remember when we first got it. I mean, it's thanks to Commonwealth Joe. We'll throw a little shout out to him. Their nitro brew coffee here at the office is just. You take. I can only do like a quarter cup, and I'm literally wired. But and it's like a good kind of wired. It's like I'm focused. I'm energized.
In the zone.
That's I know when we get the kids in here making we call them kids making the phone calls, call night,
it's
Commonwealth
coffee.
Joe is flowing. So
for sure. I wanted to ask you a couple questions too.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
what do you attribute your success to in terms of like your specific habits or something that you do regularly?
I think to answer that question, like I've always and this started back in high school, like I realized early on, like results driven activities are like and positive results feel really good. Like for most people, like it's like, hey, I do something I feel, whether it's like, okay, I could eat cheese pizza every day. Actually, pepperoni pizza. Let's be specific there. Like if I'm getting pizza, it's pepperoni.
I put a veggie on there so I can justify it. It's like ham and pineapple is fine.
But if you eat pizza every day, you just don't feel great.
Oh no, obviously not.
So like everything in life, early in high school, it's like, all right, if I worked out and I got stronger and I was better at football, it felt better to be in the position to perform at my best performance. So like when you look at life and going back to realtors and attributing success is like your whole life isn't just real estate. It's like you have to balance your entire life to be successful in real estate. Meaning like how you treat your family, how you treat your, you know, your friends, how you eat, how you wake up, how you sleep, like how you keep your body in shape, you know, how you know, detach from the business, because you need that, you know, like, I mean, we work around the clock. You need your little time to get away and come back. And, you know, so, but doing things that feel great, that have good results has always been why I feel like, you know, I love this business so much, is like, you get mini results all the time, like every single day.
You can find multiple wins every single day.
Yeah,
in this business, which is great.
And you win at, you know, talking to a new client. You win at closing a transaction. You win at, you know, helping somebody achieve something.
Right.
You know, and so every single day, and ultimately going back to our previous conversation, is like you win for what's most important. You know, everybody has that board of things that they want. And my board isn't filled with like material things. It's not like I want a certain car or a boat or anything like that. The things I want are the best for my family, you know, and it's being able to live a lifestyle too. And my dad taught me this as early on in life, is that being wealthy or successful isn't having all the money in the world. You know, wealth and success is being happy, doing what you want, when you want, with whom you want, meaning that I have the ability, because I've worked hard, to go and do something that I couldn't otherwise do with my family. And that's your win. You know, but you make these little wins to get your big wins in life. And if you just make life about the little things adding up to the big things, and I know we're in an industry where it's like every year you got to set goals.
Right.
You know, like you got to
reset.
You got to reset it, start back from the beginning, but just know that every single day, every single hour has little wins in it. You know, and I tell these new agents all the time, it's like, you know, oh, your pipeline's low. What kind of wins are you doing? You know, what did you do to get some wins today? You know, like, are you upset that your pipeline's low, but you're not doing anything to win to get it high?
Right. I think it takes like 66 days to create a good habit.
Okay.
21 days to create a bad habit. And only 7 days to break a good habit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So like vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 7 days. Now you can totally get out of your...
What is it like you know, if you look at some of those diets out there, like the Whole30 and stuff like that, like...
Never doing that again.
Never doing it.
I did it. It was...
Well, like I intermittent fast. The first week I intermittent fast, I was like by 11 o'clock, because I'm used to eating breakfast in the morning.
Starving.
You know, I'm starving. Now I'm like, I go 1, 2, 3 o'clock, and you know, I'm not really hungry. Like, but now my body's used to it. But it's the struggle getting up to it, and then when you get used to it, like you have more energy. I do it for energy.
Dude,
you know?
One of my clients just did a 40-day water-only fast.
Oof.
Isn't that insane? They're like really big. I was telling my buddy who just got back from Australia, he's like, yeah, I did one in Australia. They're huge over there.
Really?
Just a 10-day water only. He did 10 days. And I'm like, still 10 days?
I thought like your body needed, like you take like vitamins or something, just keep the nutrients?
No, just water.
Just water. Wow.
Isn't that wild?
I remember...
Because like I always thought that you needed, like you could go on like 8 days without water or something, and then you could only go 3 weeks without food. And it turns out if you have the water, you don't need the food.
I feel bad. Like when our first child, Ami's water broke early, and we were in the hospital, and all she could eat for a couple of days were ice cubes or water.
Brutal.
And I'm like, I felt so guilty, like sneaking up to the fourth floor to go to the little subway. Honey, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. And like, I'd run in the subway, like get a 6-inch and kill it. But like, you know, food is fuel if used properly.
Insane that Subway is like always the best option at a hospital food court. And it's so good. It's like so much better. Like I would never go to Subway outside of the hospital.
Yeah.
We were talking about that. It's like, why do I keep going back to the Subway when there's other options?
It's like drinking Gatorade, but you didn't work out or sweat or anything like that. Yeah.
I don't know why, but hospital Subway is the best.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what would you do now to take it back? What would you do if you weren't in real estate? What do you think you would do?
You know, like I really liked. I know it doesn't really pay the bills very well. I loved coaching. Coaching high school football. I always said if if coaching paid what real estate did, I would do that all day long. So I loved coaching. I didn't like the mortgage side of the business. I mean, I love the challenges but that side of the business, I felt like I was behind the desk all the time. So if I was doing something outside of it, it would be an outdoors activity, whether it's, I told him my dream job would be when I retire from real estate would be something where I don't need a cell phone. And, when I go home, like
you get to
your
leave
work is done.
I've always thought that was so cool about like nursing, Claire. Like it's hard. It's very hard. Like I am kind of emotional, so I'm like, don't tell me these sad stories.
Yeah,
I only want to hear the wins. I'll celebrate the wins with you, but like, talk to your mom when you need to grieve about these sad stories, because it just will make me so sad. Some of the stories that you would tell me early on, and I'm like, okay, fine, I gotta tell you, don't tell me any of this sad stuff.
Yeah,
but I think that is the coolest aspect of a job like that of nursing is like once you clock out, you're done.
That's what I said. I'm gonna be a camp counselor. Like you get to help little kids.
Right.
You go home. You don't have anything to do after that, but you get to do cool stuff all day, like fishing and camping, kickball. I'm like,
that would be cool.
I'm like, that would be a cool job. So it's tough. I mean, I would definitely, if it was income based, it would be in sales. I love sales. I love people, but it has to be like on the grounds with people. If it's something that's purely something I want to do, it would be fishing. Like the outdoor world. Like I cut off like watching, not that I don't watch TV, but like TV is not a priority at home. I don't watch, like people ask about shows and stuff. Like I don't watch a lot of shows. I'm always doing something that, each day I fill my day until I'm tired. I saw that, that guy, Mr. Beast on YouTube. Yeah. He said something really fascinating the other day. It was that they're like, what do you do? How do you get so much content out? His answer is, I love what I do. So I work extremely hard at it until when I wake up in the morning, until I go to bed at night. And I keep doing that until I'm burnt out. And when I'm burnt out, I take about a half a day, maybe a day off, and then I go right back at it. And I thought that was like, man, I wish everybody had that mentality in our business, is that you just work extremely hard every single day.
Right.
I feel like it's like what we do every day. So we work until we can't work anymore. You have your gaps with your family, but every once in a while you just need that half day or day, and then you're right back at it. So yeah, this business can definitely burn you out, but there's a lot of like those little wins you get that keep you pulled back definitely
in. My granddad kind of had a funny like idea of sleep. He's like, all these companies trying to sell you expensive mattresses, all this sleep medication. Now with like legal pot, he would be probably putting that in the category and stuff. It's like, it's all a sham. It's a crock. If you are having trouble sleeping, just work until your eyes can't stay open. And I guarantee you'll be asleep within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking of that, especially early in the business now. I'm like, wait a second. I'm just going to go sit in front of the TV in bed for probably an hour and a half. Yeah. I'm not going to fall asleep right away. I'm not that tired. I can still get an hour's worth of work done.
Yeah, I think the worst thing you can do is the scroll. You get into
dude. And I think everyone's a victim of that.
Yeah, you get into the scroll. You gotta watch out. The scroll can be like that. You can go down that long rabbit hole of just, I mean, I get into it like too, because I'll start reading stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
you're like, wait a second, this actually has some merit. Hold on. I'm like, oh wait, okay.
Now I'm telling all my friends what I read. They're like thinking I'm crazy.
Yes. As long as you don't go.
The world is flat.
Yeah. As long as you don't go that far.
The world is flat.
My mom tried to talk about that. We got her off of it, I think. But,
okay.
That was like, all right, Mom, you realize anything else you say now is like going to have an asterisk on it.
Yeah.
We can't talk about that. That's funny. I think I would probably be like, my dream job would be realistically deli shop, maybe beer store that I can close. Like, dude, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and coach. I would love to coach lacrosse or football.
We did do that challenge. We got to bring back
the cheesesteaks this time.
Well, we got to do
I wanna
cheesesteaks
this time.
You got into that cold cut. I mean, we actually had some good cold cuts on the table. Who actually, what cold cut won that?
That was the, was it D. Pasquale's that one?
No,
it was John's.
John's in
Arbutus.
Yeah, John's got the victory there. I think Di Pasquale's got number 2.
Yeah, there you can't go wrong with either of those. The other thing would be, this is like unrealistic because I imagine that there's probably only 10 people in the world that have this job, but is a color namer. Like paint colors or crayons. I'm like, where do these guys come up with this? I would love this job. They just sit and look at things. It's like, this gray is called shark.
Yeah, I think you have to have like a certain mindset for that.
Yeah,
you definitely need some
pregame medical marijuana, maybe, or just
you gotta be crafty. You gotta be crafty.
You gotta be a little bit weird, you know. And it's like, who's auditing you for that? So you'd really just have to be like, say it with conviction.
Yeah, as long as you keep
very
it
confident.
Cool. As long as you keep it appropriate. And
right. Yeah.
You're good.
It depends what the brand is.
Yeah, I don't think you. I think you would be on the borderline. You'd probably get fired the first week. Like,
I would
Ben, we cannot have that.
audits.
It's not a color.
I think that's a hilarious joke, but no, we can't do that. You realize this is for kids. Cool. So like, looking back at your journey, you found like your motivation kind of was finding wins. You found that at an early age, but what would you give your younger self in terms of advice? What advice would you share with your, like, let's say 18-year-old Ryan?
18-year-old Ryan. Oh my gosh. Yeah. 18-year-old Ryan. It was, I think in life though, everybody has like 18. I look at my cousins that are around 18 and it's like, you know, like, oh, I want to lift my truck and put big tires on my car and the wasteful spending is that I really believe that kids at an earlier age need to understand the value of business ownership or just the value of a dollar. Like you making money earlier in your case. So if I wanted to do something different and focusing a little bit more on understanding business at an earlier age would impact us a lot differently. I mean, I try to do that with my kids now. I mean, like, you know, when they ask for things, you know, trying to correlate that into something they understand. Like, yes, you want this certain item. You know, we call my daughter octopus arms at the grocery store because the arms are just like grabbing everything, putting it in the cart. And it's just like, these kids don't realize how the world works.
Right.
And understanding the world at a younger age and how things evolve and how we go through these cycles, because we're going through a bad cycle right now. I mean, there's a lot of people right now that can't afford groceries. Fuel prices are up and everything like that. So it's a tough part. But understanding the world is that not needing some things that you don't need in life. When I was 18, I needed tires in my car. I thought it was like the cool thing, you know, like, or putting the sound system, all the stuff that you wasted money on versus and saying, if somebody sat down with me and said, look, the first investment you want to make is you want to save up and buy a house, because it's one of the, you know, when you look at the safest investments, you know,
most tried and true, short of getting into maybe an angel investor, like into a stock super early, is real estate. This is the best.
This is the best. So like real estate being one of the best areas to invest in, you know, invest in real estate early, you know, and have somebody, and teach somebody, if you own a home and somebody pays that home off for you and then you sell that home or you reinvest in that home or it becomes an income producing property, now you teach people about the leverage. How can you leverage money? And most kids, it just goes over their head, but setting a foundation, I wish the 18-year-old Ryan would have had more of a foundation, and I wish they would do more in this world to help people understand
financial literacy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about, my dad told me that college, if you got two options. I can take $200,000 right now, invest it in the market, and you don't go to college. Or you go to college, you spend the $200,000. Which Ryan is going to turn out wealthier when they retire? You know, and you look at the compound interest of money over time. That
Especially since we got into a job that we love, that you don't even need a degree.
correct.
Yeah, I think that college will be obsolete one day, but there's just too much money stopping it from being obsolete. But I would not encourage Murphy to go to college if she thought she wanted to get like a sociology degree.
Correct. I mean,
I'm like, okay, that's fine, but do you know that in order to get a job over $40,000, you have to go to school for your master's?
sure.
Like, are you understanding that?
But I think there would be a lot of kids that don't go to college if they had the entrepreneurial mind earlier. I mean, you think of some of these kids. I mean, you look at the world right now. You got these young kids that are making millions doing YouTube channels. I mean, my son came to me the other day. He goes, "Dad, can I borrow one of your cameras?" I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Starting a YouTube channel." I'm like, "First of all, what are you putting on your channel? Like, you run the channel by me first because I want to see what you're doing."
That's hilarious.
But
What was he doing?
He's talking about like his riding bikes and playing sports and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, Mike,
Cool.
You know, so like here's a GoPro. Go to town. I can't wait to watch the footage.
That's
though.
gonna be awesome.
So
We enjoyed doing that, like goofy shit, when we were kids, and we would film it. And we even had like my buddy and I, we did this little show like Viva La Ben.
Okay.
Where I just did like stupid stuff, kind of like Jackass.
Yeah.
But we never like put it on YouTube or anything. We just did it for us. And it was like, damn, I was like 3 years before the YouTube boom.
Yeah.
We were still filming videos.
I mean, you think about all those things like, man, what if I thought about just like even Facebook?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I fought being on Facebook. I'm like, I'm not getting on Facebook forever. And now it's like, or, you know, Facebook turns in, you got Instagram, TikTok, and all these other things, these platforms that are evolving. And
unfortunately, it's essential for us.
Essential. I mean, you think about it, like, and I don't even think a TV is going to be, you turn it on, you click exactly what you want to watch at the given time. You know, kind of like, I think news is starting to go more into the media platforms where there's breaking news that goes, why wait to the 8 o'clock show? We'll put it right out. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
exactly.
So I think like the world is changing, and as a younger Ryan, I would say the second thing is being better at forecasting things. You know what I mean? Being ahead of curves that are going to be out there. You know,
and some of it's like easy. Like I mean, I think the next one is AI.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's scary, but I think that AI is the next one.
Scary, but I mean, right now, I mean,
but if you don't get into it, you're left behind.
Exactly.
You know I mean, like if you haven't bought a tech stock in the last year,
I think you were the one that showed me that Chat GPT, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm never going to use that. I'm like, damn, I use that every single day.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, I mean, like the easiest answer is like invest in Google. 18-year-old Ryan. I don't care how much money you make, just invest in
Chat
Google.
AI. I was sending me flowers for Valentine's Day, and it's our anniversary too. And I was like, oh, let me see what Chat would write up. And I just Valentine's Day to your wife wrote something. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Copy paste.
She's like, that was the
Let
sweetest.
me misspell something so she knows it's
This
me.
is the sweetest card you ever wrote. I had to tell her the truth. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't write like that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, those are the things, like being able to forecast, knowing, you know, and being ahead of curves. I mean, we got real estate trends too. If you're not thinking about things that are going to be going on in the next 5 to 10 years, like you're going to be behind the curve. And in real estate, one of the things you have to do is, we know the market you're in now, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I just try to help people in forecasting. I'm like, okay, August is a dead zone in real estate in our markets. Kids are going back to school. It's a vacation month. Like, people are just a little bit more dormant in the market.
It has been as long as I've been in real estate too.
Everybody's going through that. So as a realtor, take those dead zones, like then around Christmas time, double down on your business.
Right.
That's when you get in front of your clients more.
It's funny, real estate, I feel like the real estate year doesn't start until like the 15th of January.
Yeah.
Is when people start coming back to office, working and everything. It's
like, shoot, I should have sent out like a going back to school card, or like, you know, like, reaching out to your clients. 'Cause it's a busy time of year for them. So it's a busy time for you to be effective too. And, you know, at the end of the year, the holiday year is the thankful time, you know, thankful for your business. So those are things that I think people need to get better at. I mean, the market we're in right now is definitely. I mean, I look at there's still 4.5 million homes that are going to sell this year in the U.S.
Right.
You know, a top market
insane.
is 5.5, 6 million. So like,
And you got to see, like, Warren Buffett just like moved almost all of his holdings into new home builders.
yeah.
So that's like promising.
Yeah, we're on the verge of. I think when rates come back down, I think we're going to be in a really good. I mean, it's not just rates. I mean, everything. When the economy starts pulling out of the recession, you start seeing the price of food and goods starting to go down, and you give a little bit of lightning in the wallet. People like spending less,
Right.
and it's going to be applied to more. And it's typically it's going to be housing. I mean, rents are going up. Nobody wants to rent anymore.
Yeah.
So
I mean, rent in Maryland hasn't gone down since 1999.
yeah.
Which just shows you, like, hey, you want to buy. You
Yeah,
could
you
have been
wanna
a
buy.
landlord for 25 years or 24 years now.
Exactly.
Where do you see the market?
Right now,
I mean, like the real estate industry as a whole in 10 years. Because I feel like if you read 10 articles on this topic, it would be 10 different things.
I think we went through when rates went up. People were in the like if you look at like a thermometer, people were scared.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like people were like, oh, I don't want to buy right now. Rates are up. I think people are adjusted now. Rates are where they are. They know that eventually they're going to come back down. I mean, we
Right.
bought our first house. Rates were high, and they came back. I don't think rates are ever going to come back into. I think what we see over the next 12 months is that mortgage rates are going to filter back down from the sevens into the sixes and then teeter into the upper fives over the next 6 to 12 months. Next spring, I project that you're going to start seeing a lot more inventory hit the market. Now, there's a couple things. I mean, we're obviously going into an election year, so you're going to hear a lot of things going on. Everybody's going to try to push everything into
the
economy.
It's like, hey, the price of milk has gone down. The price of gas has gone down. It's like, yeah, we know this is artificial and it'll be back up. In January.
everybody's gonna fight for lower everything. So
Right.
that helps us out in the real estate industry. I mean, people are gonna be if you start seeing a lightning, the fuel prices come down, the food prices come down, and they have a little bit extra spending money. They say, why am I spending all this money on a rent? I'm gonna purchase. We're not seeing values come down. I mean, if you look at foreclosure statistics, the last recession, values dropped due to foreclosures. Huge. Why you don't see foreclosures in the market is people have equity. Why would you foreclose on your house if you have equity in your home?
Right.
You
lose your job, sell it.
Sell it. You know, your $300,000 home you owe $200,000 on. You're going to sell your house. Pull your $100,000 out. That's going to get you through your. So we're in a much different time recession wise, but I think values are going to stay strong. Still going slightly up, 1% maybe. Not the normal growth that we see in the market. We're going to see mortgage rates starting to fall back. And by next year, I think we'll start seeing inventory, start to pick up. I mean, inventory is the biggest struggle. I mean, we're never going to see a drop in the market. I tell consumers all the time, they're like, oh, I'm going to wait till values go down. I was like, values aren't going down until you see the house that you want to buy sit on the market for 3 months.
Yeah, I was even going to say 120.
Yeah, if you're seeing houses still going under contract before you even can look at it, values aren't going to come down. It means demand's still up. So where I see the market over the next couple or at least over the next couple of years, balancing out the market, interest rates are going to come down into a more comfortable zone, 5.5 to 6.5%. I mean, banks are still struggling right now. I mean, mortgage applications are way down because nobody's refinancing. Why would you refinance out of a 2.5, 3% interest rate? But
the thing is, even like the empty nesters that have their kids gone, they can't. It doesn't make sense for them to downsize.
Correct.
Because they have this 2.5 interest rate. Now the prices have gone up, so they're buying a more expensive house at a higher rate. They're paying $150 more to have a smaller house. So they're just
call me crazy, but I think next year you're going to see a refinance boom. And the reason you're going to see a little bit of a refinance boom is when rates get back out into lower sixes, higher fives.
The people that have been buying the last 2 years.
People that are credit card maxed, because of the tough periods they went through. True. They put a lot of things on credit card. We used to do back in the mortgage days, you would never sell interest rate when you refinance cashed out. You sell consolidation. So if I take your $100,000 first mortgage, you have a $200,000 home, and you have $20,000 in credit card debt, if I take your monthly bills from $2,500 down to $1,700, I'm saving you $800 a month, every single month. Who cares where interest rates are at that point? And that's the market you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of people using cash equity in their homes to consolidate, to overall, lower their monthly expenses,
Right.
which is going to put them in a better financial position. At that point, it doesn't really matter where interest rates are. It does matter where interest rates are, but it doesn't matter where they were on their interest rates, because when you do the consolidation, that's giving you the discretionary dollars back in your household that you need because you were spending so much in fuel and milk. So I think next year, also
And student loans are coming too.
Student loans, all of it.
August or October.
Yep. So a lot of that's going to factor into consolidation. Is going to be big next year too.
That makes sense. I never considered that, but I mean, people got to take advantage of money where they can get it.
I mean, credit card debt is definitely on the upward trends right now. So,
right.
But look, anytime you ever had a market, debt's going up, but values in your home, we won't see when you look at the foreclosure crash, that's what your house was worth $200 and you owed $300. You couldn't sell. You had to short sale. And most people, it wasn't that they were scared to short sale because there wasn't a lot of education out there on short sales. So they were already into foreclosure too long before the banks giving them options you can modify or you can short. And modification was all that was really doing, was delaying the foreclosure process. So when you look at where we are in the market right now, debt's going to be a big reason you bring back refinancing. And when you have that equity position, you're also going to bring in a lot of people that are not going to refinance. They're just going to sell their house. They're going to change their living situation. Okay, my debt's so high, I don't need this 7,000 square foot home anymore. I could downsize, sell this house, take the equity in this home, buy something around 3,000 square feet that's more, it doesn't matter where rates are. If you're paying cash or you're putting a lot of money, you're improving your finance. So I think everything that we come out of next year is going to be people improving their financial positions. And mortgage rates aren't going to really be a factor. And you're going to see that's going to help us with inventory.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully you're right.
Yeah.
A lot of people would actually call you crazy, but so get a little bit more serious. What is one huge fear in your life and in real estate? Could be the same.
Ooh. I think, fear in real estate, would just waking up not having anybody or anything to work on. The market, what if the market actually stopped? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think back in 2006, I was doing mortgages and real estate at the time. There was no laws at that point. You could do both as long as it was disclosed. But the scary part was the market then, it really slowed. Things became very difficult. So fear's in the market because when you get into a brokerage, it's not about the business not doing well. It's about the people within your business. So making sure that the business is, flowing to make sure that the agents are able to feed their families, stay ahead of the curve. My biggest fears in business would be something where I wouldn't be able to support. You wake up and people have those nightmares. You wake up and you're in the Walking Dead scene and zombies are coming at you. Mine would be going to the office and staring at the screen saying there's nothing we can do right now. COVID actually.
I hate that nightmare where I can't scream.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I think it was when COVID first shut down Maryland, when you were basically stay at home or something. I was like, I don't know what to do with myself.
It was so eerie, right?
I was so I'm that's, if you're looking at it as a fear, those couple of days, that was fear to me. Not really being able to, being trapped, not really.
Yeah. And they didn't really release for 2 weeks whether or not real estate was going to be essential or not. So we're if this is unessential, we're screwed.
Yeah.
We can't go out.
I still hate going in my home office because I'm I worked down there so much in COVID. I'm this is just bad. I had to repaint it, remodel it, just make it feel different.
It's different.
It's different. It's not the same place that we were hiding in.
My desk to this corner.
So, no, but great podcast today. Looking back, I love sharing the story, hearing the story. Real estate's one of those things that's, it's a life changer for a lot. You have fully committed yourself into real estate. It's your life. Without real estate, life is not the same. Much as you've grown, you know, I remember when you first came in, you came from another group and you grew and you weren't that fast paced. I mean, it was like literally house, car, gauge, wedding, baby. Like it was just like, I'm like, just keep going. Cause I love when people are going at that pace, because that pace that you're going at keeps you motivated, and cause you can't,
automatically grows you. You can't fail. And I think it was hilarious. Like you're the one that talked, because I was thinking about getting a mid-sized truck, like the middle, like a Toyota Tacoma or something. And you're like, no, just get a big one.
Yeah.
It'll make you work harder. I'm like, hell no, man. Like that's not how money works. And then I was thinking about it and I'm like, wait a second. That will make me work way harder.
Yeah,
like I'll be forced to like pay this bill.
Yeah.
Have this much insurance. So it's cool. It's a risky factor, but I think like being in sales, you kind of love risk.
Hey, can we talk about your first day with your truck?
A little bit. We cannot. Maybe that's a next episode. It's a cliffhanger. We'll leave you guys hanging.
Yeah. Great story, though.
That was horrible.
Yeah. Well, it's great sharing everything today. I mean, we're gonna do more. We'll bring Ben back on. This is I love hearing the story. I love hearing about family. Like you hear what's behind the scenes in real estate lives versus what you see people like just in social media. And your Tuesday's 2 cents is you being a realtor, but like hearing about your life outside of real estate is that's what people want to listen to. And you know, appreciate you taking the time today. I mean, believe it or not, I mean, we're an hour and 15 minutes in. You know, it just feels like we've been chatting here for 5-10 minutes. So, but definitely appreciate it. We'll bring you back in, and you know, any closing thoughts?
No, I mean, I'll leave you with this. This is the best advice that I heard a long time ago, but now is hitting home so much with 2 kids. Be the person that your kids think you are. Yeah. Try every day to be that person, and no matter what you do, if you do it with that mindset, you'll be successful. That's
awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you coming out today.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Ben.